Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be behind the scenes of a company that has grown 418% in 1 year? Not only that kind of growth, but most businesses, typical, only grow about 10% a year. And so today we have our business coach with you who every time he goes on someone else's channel or podcast, he alone with his influence and his message 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 more views than that channel gets. He is so powerful, and I'm excited for you to hear his wisdom. Myron Golden is with us today. So what I think would be fun for this podcast is to talk about one-to-many selling. Fun, right? And you know what's cool? And it's just such a cool full circle
I got to go read
moment.
a book on it first, though.
Yeah, right.
Right. I got to go read a book on it and see. Can I go watch a couple of podcast episodes? Do we have time for me to do that and then come back and talk to you about one-to-many selling? Or do we have to do it now? Because I feel totally unprepared.
Very funny.
Okay.
You're not the most sarcastic person.
Yeah, that honestly took me. I'm like, that's Mine
y'all
doesn't
were both
ever
looking at
joke
me
like that.
Y'all were looking at me like, is he being serious right now? I thought you could tell what I was saying.
Well, it's cool because, we've told you these stories today about all the webinars we did that failed, but we still sold because we can follow up and do one-on-one conversations. I mean, it wasn't the webinar's call to action that was so amazing. The content was, so they wanted to buy, but we really needed to get over the line. And we wanted to work with you because we saw that there was stage selling secrets and there was this platform selling. And we went, okay, there's something there that we don't know that we need to know. And so we finally understood what worked from our sales content. It was, like I said, it was the juice, the meat, but there's that get you over the finish line content that you're really good at. Right. And then after you're over the finish line, throw the ball down, and that's called a repitch. Okay. So anyway, we just learned a lot. And I kind of want to pretend like our inner circle's in this room.
Oh, cool. I am here to serve you at my highest possible level.
I know.
And so fascinatingly enough, like when I think about why do challenges convert so much better than webinars? And I think two reasons, immersion and community. One of the reasons, like on a webinar, everybody on the webinar feels like they're there by themselves.
Yeah.
But on a challenge, everybody feels like they were there with everybody else.
Yeah, so true.
And so everybody wants to do what everybody's doing. Nobody wants to do what nobody's doing. So everybody, like when people see other people doing their homework,
Yes.
it makes them feel like doing their homework.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
You know what it's like? It's like, have you ever gotten off a train at the airport? I know you haven't been to a normal airport in a long time, but you get off the train and everyone goes right, and you don't even know if right is the right way for you to go.
But you just go that way.
But everybody's going, so you
right,
just
so
trust them.
right.
And so that's kind of because by first I was like, why is community so important for selling? Because you think of community once they buy. Not necessarily in the selling process, but once they buy, they get to join a community. That's like the payoff. But what you just said is selling one-to-many in the community is what helps them buy.
100%.
And it's that principle of, well, they go right, I go right.
Two things that nobody wants to be at a wedding reception. The first person in line for the food or the last person in line for the food.
Wow. Right in the middle.
Wow.
Somewhere in the middle.
Wow. So I kind of want to ask you about overt and covert.
Let me know when we're started, or are we started?
We're in it.
Oh, we're in it. Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah. And then we'll do an official intro and all that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, cool. I'm like, okay, when are we starting? Okay,
Yeah.
go. Okay, now we're
We
starting.
can cut this part out, but I
you
like
told me
to-
how to put my game faith on.
No, don't cut any of this out.
Okay.
The girls will love it.
Okay.
This is Coach,
We
everybody.
just like to ease in, you know?
Yeah, clearly.
The hard
Clearly.
start
Y'all
kind
snuck
of,
up on me. I feel like I just got ganged.
Yeah, welcome.
the hard start is what it's like. How do you get it going? But once it's going, it's going.
Let's go.
You know.
We in the group. Okay.
Okay, I kind of want to go in kind of hard right now. I want to hear you talk a little bit more about overt and covert selling. Would you be up for talking about that?
Sure. What do you want me to say? Like what about overt and covert selling?
I don't know. I just heard you talk about it today in our time together, and I don't know if I've ever really heard you say overt and covert before.
Oh yeah, you have.
Have I?
Oh yeah, I talk about it all the time at Stage Selling Secrets.
You say overt and covert. You say those words, or do you describe it?
No, I definitely do.
Wow. Okay.
So one of the things that you do, like, I don't think people know this. Do you know why the hero's journey is called the hero's two journeys is called the hero's two journeys?
No.
Because there's the covert journey and the overt journey. The covert journey is the journey that goes on inside. The overt journey is the journey that goes on outside.
Wow.
Did Did you have a moment, Maymay?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right? And
Yeah.
so what makes y'all good at selling is you are very good at telling two stories at the same time that feel like one story.
Yeah.
Great movies are great movies because they're good at telling two stories at the same time. And these the two stories they're telling are opposing each other. They're telling two stories at the same time, but it feels like one story. So there's the story of the external burning desire and the internal conflict about becoming the person who can take that external journey. Like that has to happen at the same time. And so when I'm like the overt selling sells to their head and their ears.
Their conscious mind.
Their conscious mind.
Yeah.
Covert selling sells to their heart and their feelings. If I make you think about buying without making you feel like buying, you're not going to buy. You're less likely to buy. But if I create an environment that makes you feel like buying, even if I don't talk to you about buying, you're going to desire to buy. And so one of the things that I really like to focus on is creating an environment that makes people feel like buying. So when you do that, that's what selling really is. Selling is creating an environment that makes people feel like buying without having to talk them into buying.
That's right.
And the reason you don't have to talk them into buying is because they already want to buy. Like people love to buy and they love to be sold. I know people that say, people love to buy and they hate to be sold. Okay, so the guy who said that didn't know how to sell.
That's right.
Right? People love to buy and they love to be sold, but they hate to be convinced. There's a difference between selling and convincing. Selling is not a synonym for convincing. Selling is an antonym for convincing. Convincing, what most people think of as sales, is not sales. But convincing is when I attempt to get you to do something I desire you to do for my reasons. So the person I'm thinking about when I'm convincing is me.
That's right.
But persuasion is when I help you make a decision you already desire to make for your own reasons. So when I'm persuading or selling, the main person in my mind is you. The main payoff, the main person getting the payoff is you. The main payoff I'm thinking about is yours, not mine. And so because of that, that makes me better at selling because I'm only talking to you about stuff you already care about anyway. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And why do people find it so challenging to communicate in terms of another
Because
person?
most people are selfish. And they're always thinking about their own things, not realizing, in the words of the late, great Jim Rohn, the soil says to the farmer, don't bring me your need. I really need a harvest. I really need a harvest. Bring me your seed.
Wow.
Right? It's the giving that creates the getting.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the sowing that creates the reaping. But people are like, I just want to reap, I want to reap, I want to reap. Well, sow a seed, chucklehead.
And so what I see a lot in content is people think they're sowing by talking about what people need, like what they need. They need to have better health. They need to have a better routine. And so they're almost sowing need into them. And they're like, I actually want something. So talk about that, sowing a need.
Yeah, I would rather sell somebody something they desire to have than sell them something they need to have, even if the thing they desire to have is not something they necessarily need. Why? Because they're more likely to buy it and they'll be happier because they bought it than if they buy the thing they need, but they don't desire, so they won't use it, and then they'll blame me for not getting the result.
That's right.
Yeah. And don't you think it would be helpful for the entrepreneur, the salesperson to stop thinking about if I was just obsessed over your heart health, I'm like, you need a better heart. You need a better heart. And you're like, don't tell me what I need. Like, you're not my mama.
Right.
And you're not my doctor.
Right.
You're a person on the Instagram. Right. I mean,
So
talk about
how do I help somebody who needs a better heart, right? But so I ask myself, what does that person desire that they can't get with the unhealthy heart they have now? And I talk to them about that. And the healthy heart is just the bridge that gets them to the destination of having the life of their dreams and having enough energy to play with their children, or having enough energy to sit on the floor and play with their grandchildren, or having enough energy to go on dates with their spouse, or whatever.
I'm almost
talk to them about the payoff.
I'm almost picturing it like the person who sells heart health, for example. Like,
that's a really bad thing to sell, heart health.
Okay,
but anyway.
I know. I think
that's
it's like such a bad example.
Right.
That it's.
Yeah, that's like...
And the entrepreneur sees it so big. They're like, your heart's such a big deal. But what you described is almost like, hey, I know this is in your way. Let me just scooch it so that you can go do that.
Get you the stuff you really desire. Like, if I can ask you enough questions. So when you're thinking about selling, to me, questions are the answer.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I'm selling something to you, Kat, then you provide the content for that sales presentation.
Yeah.
I provide the context.
Right.
So the content is all the things you desire.
Yeah.
The context is the frame that I put around all the things you desire and show you how the thing that I have helps you get the thing that you want.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's why we love conversation so much, because you get content so quickly. A one-to-many sales presentation
Yeah, you get
is a little bit
lots
more
of content.
nuanced, right? So that's why, we like challenges, because you have all that time to plant different contents in people's contextual life. And maybe they're single, they're married, they have kids, and you can tell all the stories. But what advice do you have for someone who wants to give as many good context?
Yeah, because those specific examples, like you said, move the heart problem out of the way so you can go on a date with your spouse.
Right.
But what if you're selling one to many and these people are single, or some of them are single, or they're divorced?
Right.
And they're like, well,
but
that
whatever their outcome is. So here's the problem. With selling and almost everything else in the world, most people don't think. They just think they think. And what I mean by that is you think you're thinking about your prospect's problem, but you're thinking about how you can sell your prospect something that fixes your problem.
Oh, wow.
Right? Instead of, don't think of your prospect at all. Think from your prospect. If I were them and I, let's say, first of all, one of the ways that the people that you sell to give you content is by the name you put on the event that they
Itself.
paid to come to.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have the Healthy Happy Heart Challenge, for instance, these are people who want a healthy, happy heart. That's why they're there. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there.
That's right.
And so whatever you can give the title of your sales event and the subtitle a name that causes people to self-identify and say, hey, I'm in that group that desires that thing.
Yeah.
Right? So when they join whatever that sales event is, just them paying to show up gives you content around which to form a context.
Yeah.
And so then you figure, okay, if I were somebody coming to this event looking for this result, why? Why do I desire this result? Okay, you teach people how to sell, right? Okay, so my question is, why? Why do you teach people how to sell? Well, we work with a lot of moms. Why? Well, because moms feel like they can only be a mom. Why? Well, because that's what society has told them. Okay, and why is that? Why is that a problem? Well, because they want to be able to do things for their kids, but they don't have the money. Why? Well, because they don't have a job, they stay at home. Okay, but why can't stay at home moms have money? Yeah, they can. Well, why don't they have money? And you keep asking why. Well, because they don't have a business. Okay, but can you start a business from home? Yeah, you can. Okay, so why don't they have a business? Maybe they don't know they can. And so you keep asking why, and then you finally get to the thing they actually desire to have, and then you only talk to them about that. So you can have more time with your children, so that you don't have to tell your kids no all the time, so you can give your children the kind of education that you desire them to have instead of the kind of education your income tells you they can have, right? And so you talk to them about stuff they care about,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Aren't you tired of you and your spouse being strangers that pass in the night? He works all day. You work. I mean, he goes to work during the day. You go to work at night, and you stay home with the kids. You're strangers passing. Aren't you tired of living like that? You paint pictures. You paint them into a clear picture of their pain. And show them that you've created a very elegant mechanism to get them out of that pain and into the ultimate pleasure, which is the opposite of where they are now.
It's a real effort to put yourself into someone else's shoes.
It is. And you cannot do that without empathy. You cannot do that unless you care enough about them to obsess over their problems before you're with them. You're not going to, you don't have enough time when you're with somebody, and you can be with them on a 90-minute webinar. You can be with them in a 200-page book. You can be with them in a 5-day challenge or 3-day live event. You're not going to be with somebody long enough to obsess over their problem while you're in their presence to come up with a solution.
Right.
So you have to pre-obsess
Yeah.
over their problem more than they have, so that when you show up, you can show them you have a better answer to their problem than they've ever thought about.
Can you talk about the difference in empathy and sympathy?
Empathy is I can feel your pain. Sympathy is I feel bad because you have your pain. sympathy. I don't sympathy. Let me put it like this. Empathy is I care enough about you to figure out a solution to your problem. Sympathy is I want to fix your problem more than you do.
And I feel bad for you.
And I feel bad.
And we talked a little bit earlier about influence, and I really think sympathy kills influence. I really do. I think there's some level of I feel so bad for you. Like they almost have this.
Sympathy kills influence because sympathy doesn't inspire them to become the best version of themselves.
Like empathy turns into enthusiasm because you believe and you figured it out. And I've been there. I see you, and let's not stay there. Let's go.
So one of the most important things, not even one of the most important things, I believe the most important thing a leader, a coach, an influence or a real influencer can do for the people they influence or lead is to believe in that person more than they believe in themselves. I have to believe more in your ability than you do. So you can borrow some of my belief in your ability so that you go tap into it. Because most people don't believe in themselves.
And what else might kill influence is that people believe in their process. They're like, oh, I believe so much in my
mechanism.
Well, believing in your process is good. Just don't believe your process is the answer.
Right.
Right. And definitely don't believe your process is the thing that you want to put on the front page.
Right.
What I mean, like, I don't lead with my process. Because if you lead with your process, all you're doing is showing people how hard it's going to be.
That's right.
Adults know if you're going to have a real transformation, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
So you don't need to show them that part.
Yeah.
Show them what it's going to look like when it's done. And then they're willing to pay the hard price of going through the process. But if you show them the process up front, now it's like, I don't even know if it's worth it. But if you show them that it's worth it, now they're willing to go through the process.
Wow. One thing about you, Myron,
Macy.
Coach Myron, is you, when you are selling and really communicating in general, you almost like jolt people.
Really?
Yeah. At least for me.
Okay.
Do you agree
with
that?
How do I jolt them?
You just say things that are so out of the quote unquote ordinary for most people that it's like, I can't believe that it just came out of his mouth in a good way. And I think a lot of it is probably because you know that, I mean, you told me this recently, how many thoughts are repeated? It's like 90% of your thoughts are repeated, right?
Yeah.
So it's like people are so used to thinking the same way all the time. They're so used to running the same track. And so you are trying to change the direction of the track that they're on. And you can't just have a slight redirection for it to change. It has to be like over here, you know? Like I'm trying to think, I remember at our summit, you made a comment like, not making a $350,000 sale is like stepping over a $5 bill. Like that's like jolting, right? Or for most people, or even like you just said, don't let your income level determine the education that you want your children, and people don't even think about that, you know. And so I think about there's so, at least from my experience and from our clients, people feel really nervous to be jolting. And to talk about, healthcare is actually sick care. It's the sick care system. Or how moms should be making money and like become the mom that, so that your kids can look at you and say, I can do it because you did it. That's jolting for most moms who think my job is to sacrifice everything to be with them. And you're like, no, you're actually becoming something that they don't want to be. And how are they going to look up to you? It's like, whoa, I can't believe that.
Don't just be the mom of your kids, be the mom for your kids.
That's right. That's jolting. Yeah. So I want you just to kind of talk about like that and think about the person who's like, I don't want to offend people.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt them. I don't want them to feel like stiff arm me because I just changed the way they think all the time.
I'm going to give you two words.
Okay.
And they sound similar, but they're very different.
Okay.
So the word hurt is a very short-term word.
Yeah.
The word harm is a very long-term word.
Wow.
Okay. So one of my beliefs is I'd rather hurt you to help you than help you to harm you.
Yeah.
King Solomon said it like this: faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. So I had a dentist appointment day before yesterday. I go to the dentist and the doctor comes in. She's like a young petite lady like y'all. And she's like, hi, how you doing? I ain't as happy as you are. I'm in the chair. Right?
That's right.
And so, and they're doing like a deep teeth cleaning. And so, okay, I'm going to numb you up, blah, blah, blah. And then, she gives me this Novocaine shot and then another Novocaine shot and another Novocaine. I'm bracing myself and it wasn't that bad, but I felt it.
Yeah.
Right? And it was painful.
Yeah.
But she hurt me to help me.
Yeah.
Now, she could have said, oh, no, your teeth are fine. And that would have helped me feel better.
That's right.
But long term, it would have harmed me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to be if you are not a person who's willing to give short-term hurt for long-term help, then you are automatically a person who is giving short-term help that does long-term harm. And so I would rather be the friend who faithfully wounds somebody in the short term so they can live happily ever after. So that's why I'm willing to like wake people up out of this delusional slumber of everything's going to be okay. It's just going to work itself out. No, it's not. You're going to have to work it out.
Yeah. And I know, especially because you obviously teach business principles from the Bible.
I do.
So you have a lot of Christians and followers of Jesus come to you to learn about business,
do.
and you're talking about being rich.
Right. And then I have a lot of people who don't believe the Bible. Well, some people, I won't say a lot, but I have some people who don't believe the Bible.
Yeah.
And I come to them, and I'm still going to teach it based on the Bible.
That's right.
And if they don't like it, well, you paid to be in this room, but I paid for this room, and this is how I'm teaching it.
That's right.
Right. And so I think people, we live in this chameleon society where everybody's going along to get along and signing the banana, be one of the bunch. And so until you just step into who you are and just own it, you can't really help anybody anyway because you don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and I feel like that is necessary for selling one to many. Because the only way you get people to take different actions is if they actually think different thoughts.
100%.
And a slightly variation of a thought that they're already thinking and a soft little just different flavor is not enough to make people really move in a different direction. So it's not even just something you should do. You really have to.
You have to. You have to make them feel the pain of staying the same.
Yeah.
So for me, like when I decided I'm going to fly private from now on, I'm not flying commercial anymore. And it wasn't a flex. It wasn't a bougie thing. I didn't even know how much it cost to fly private. Like when I made that decision, I was just so sick of the pain of TSA agents who wanted to be CIA agents, but they couldn't pass the test. So they wanted to save the world from me. And I'm TSA pre, and they still, we got to take you to this private room, frisk you down, blah, 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 blah. Like, I am so sick of this stupid conversation, right? And then you got to get there 2 hours early, and then they delay your flight, and it's 2 hours late, and now I've wasted 4 hours of my life at this stupid airport, and then they cancel my flight, and I miss my connection, and I'm like, this is, why am I subjecting myself to this? This is, for me, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense for anybody. It just didn't make sense for me.
Yeah.
I will never do this again. And so the reason I made that decision is because I felt the pain of that experience so much that regardless of cost, I wasn't doing it anymore. Well, when I found out how much it cost, it caught me on the back, set me on the back foot a little bit, right? So I had a trip coming up to Las Vegas from Tampa. And I called my friend who had access to a jet. Hey, I need a jet trip in 2 weeks from Tampa to Vegas and back. And I thought it was going to cost $25,000 or $30,000. He said, yeah, it's going to be 60 grand. I said, it's going to be how much? He said, 60 grand. And then he said, and you know the story, yeah, you got to put your big boy pants on if you want to fly private. Now I'm irritated. You don't tell me to put my big boy pants on, bro.
See, that jolted you a little bit.
It did, right? See?
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
I felt
it made you skirt. Yeah.
Big boy pants?
Yeah.
Bro, I only got big boy pants. Get the jet, bruh.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, but that's how I felt, right?
Yeah.
I felt like I was in high school and somebody was pushing me around.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's that same feeling that like came up inside of me because he said that. And
The best thing he could have done for you.
It was one of the best things he could have done for me. And so I booked the jet. And so I booked the jet. And then you only have, well, for me, I only have to have something that's so much better than what I was suffering through before one time to let me know, oh yeah, this is the path, right? And I was like 60, 70, I don't care. And that sounds kind of financially insane when most people, why would you pay $60,000 to fly round trip to Las Vegas when you can fly round trip to Las Vegas on Southwest Airlines for $600, right? Yeah, but I ain't the only one on the plane, right? And so to me, it was worth it because I didn't have to deal with any of the nonsense. Like even when I came here to Atlanta, I got to the airport yesterday, 10 minutes before it's time for my flight to take off. I pulled up to the gate. I pushed the button. They let me in the gate. I drove up to the plane. The pilot and the co-pilot and one of the ground crew unloaded all my stuff out of my car, put it on the plane. Then I got on the plane. My food was already on the plane. My ginger beers were already on the plane. Like everything that and it's just like, get on there and like go. Right. And there was no TSA agent who was saving the world from me. To me, that was worth however much this trip cost.
That's right.
Whatever that is. And so you have to, if you don't make people feel the pain of staying the same, they don't really have enough reasons to transform just because the place you can take them would be better. If the place they're in right now is livable, it's doable, they're okay with it. It's not ideal, but if they're okay with it, why would they move?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I've heard you tell the story so many times, and I listen every time. I listen to every detail because I know that you don't say those details for no reason.
Right. Which details? About what?
Like the pain. You don't tell the story about the TSA taking you in the back room. Like you don't.
So I have a brace on my leg, right?
Right.
So literally, I'm TSA pre that I pay for every year. They said, we have to take you in a private room. You have to pull your pants down and we have to expect the brace. But they only do that in some place. Like, that's stupid. You don't have to do that. I fly all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're having a bad day, this is what you want to do.
Yeah. So you emphasize those details and you say them every single time so that people can feel the pain.
Right.
So that they can want to move differently.
Exactly.
And, one thing about you that I really have learned so much from is just watching you repeat principles and points and stories, and you don't skip over details that you think someone might have already heard before, because even if they have, they need to hear it again so that they can hear it differently and feel the pain. Even because Kat said this, you'll love this. She said, every time you read the same book over and over, or you come to the same event over and over, you learn it differently because you are different every time.
Somebody said, who was it? Somebody I was just talking to the other day. Here's what he said. He said, no man ever steps into the same river twice. Because when you step into the river again, the river is different and you're a different person.
1,000,000%.
Cool.
Isn't that cool?
That's cool when it's the river. It's like moving.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
it's
the
not even
river's
the same.
moving
Wow.
and you're changing. So no man or woman ever steps into the same river twice.
Wow. And Kat just had her third baby. And so she's like, it's really crazy to see this birth order. Like the first kid has these characteristics, second kid has these characteristics.
It's so crazy.
And she's like, yes, but like the kid gets a different mom every time.
Ooh, that's so
Because
good.
of different experiences, different circumstances. And that is how I feel when I listen to a story that you've told. I'm like, I am a different person today than I was 3 months ago. And so I'm like, I actually feel more pain. Typically I hear it, I'm like, the airport's not that bad. It's whatever. But I hear it today, I'm like, actually, yeah, it is.
You never know when you're going to catch
It's
someone.
pretty
The idea to just pull in and let the pilot, like, that's crazy.
Right.
So anyway, it's just like when you're selling one to many, you have to talk about it like you've never talked about it before. You have to say it with, like, it's just mind blowing to you, even though you might have said it 100 times, so that it can transfer to other people.
It's kind of like,
yeah.
Stay
it's kinda like,
fascinated.
have you ever gone to the movies and you saw a movie and it was really good and you said, you got to see this movie, and then you went with the person to watch it? It's like you're watching it again for the first time.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to people, when I'm delivering a sales message, again, because they're new people in the room and have never heard it, it's like I'm watching a movie with somebody. So vicariously, I'm telling the story with a level of passion and reliving it because I know this person hasn't experienced it before.
That's right. Yeah.
It's really making me feel like when you buy your kid a gift, or anyone really, but there's something about Christmas with your kids, right? And you bought it for them. You know what it is. You know that they wanted it. They know that they wanted it. And still the spark in their eye. And you just can't get bored giving someone the gift.
No.
And that's what's happening, right? Like one to many, you have a gift for them. You know how they're going to enjoy it. You know that, you know why you're getting it for them. You know that they want it. And so the gift giver can get so bored with their gift. I know that we just talked about how they're excited with their process and you need a heart, you need, but it's like a kid doesn't want the new white t-shirt. They want to feel cool at school.
Right.
They want to get compliments. They want
the girlfriend.
They want homework to be like fast so they can go play sports on the cul-de-sac. So I think some of us are just be selling the white t-shirt, because they need it and it's going to help.
Selling the utilitarian.
Yes,
use
utilitarian,
of the thing instead of the experience of the thing.
Right.
Right. It doesn't matter what the thing is. It's like in the stock market, like options have two values. They have intrinsic value and time value, right? So, because options expire.
Yeah.
So in the marketplace, offers have intrinsic value and perceived value.
That's right.
Intrinsic and perceived?
Intrinsic and perceived. The intrinsic value is the utilitarian value, like of a car, for instance, right?
Yep.
So why do some cars cost $30,000 and some cost $300,000 and some cost $3 million?
Yep.
The ones that cost $3 million are not 100 times more, like the tires are not 100 times more round and the windshield's not 100 times more clear. So how do you charge 100 times more for a car?
Yeah.
Because the perceived value of that car is higher. It's really interesting if you understand that one of the greatest payoffs anyone ever gets from anything they ever buy is the status
That's right.
Yeah.
elevation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like David Yurman, right? Like, if I'm a David Yurman person and I've got a lot of David Yurman bracelets, not me, but like my wife, like you, like if you're a lot of David Yurman, like it just makes you feel more elegant, right? Like there are some things I like it when people give to me as gift. There are some things I don't want people to give me as a gift.
Yeah.
Because I only wear these things.
Right.
Like if you're going to give me golf balls, I'm just saying, if you're going to give me golf balls, only give me Pro V1s.
Yeah.
Don't give me Top Flights. Don't give me Pinnacle. Like I don't even want Titleist Tour Distance, whatever. Like Pro V1s. That's what I play. I play Pro V1s.
Yeah.
They do what I want them to do. Like there are fragrances I wear. I'm not going to say what the fragrances are I wear because a lot of people want to copy them. And they'll have to keep on wondering, right? But like, I don't want people to buy me fragrances because I probably won't wear them.
Yeah.
And, like I'll test them, and if I like them, I'll figure out a way to do it. But for the most part, I have 2 different sets of 3 fragrances that I wear on top, and then 1 fragrance that I wear as a foundation before I even go there. So,
Wow.
Like you will never, I don't think, you will never meet a person who smells like me because, like, it's a whole thing, right? It's a thing. And so if you understand like that about people, that you're creating a unique experience, that perceived value, right? So I'll give you, for instance, I feel like I've always been well-dressed. Like I've taken a lot of thought and care into being well-dressed. I want to look the part, right? But I used to get all of my suits from K&G Menswear. Well, K&G Menswear is the liquidator for Men's Warehouse and maybe some other places as well. So nice suits. But I was ready to level up, and I was kind of looking for a custom clothier. And I went to this tailor in Tampa, and he sold me these shirts. And they were like, I bought $2,200 worth of shirts, 12 shirts, and it was $2,200, like dress shirts. And they just didn't fit right. Like the cuffs were too small, the sleeves were too big. And my daughter said to me one time, Dad, I thought you said those were custom shirts. And I couldn't even wear them after that.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't wear this anymore. And so I had that experience, but I'm ready to get a custom suit, right?
Yeah.
A custom suit. So if there's like, I hate the phone. I don't like talking on the phone. My daughter, especially, her biggest frustration with me is I don't answer my phone because I have to leave it on Do Not Disturb because like people just call me all the time. Like, why are you calling me? I don't know you. What are you calling me for? And not that I don't want to talk to you, but I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk on the phone to anybody. But I really don't want to talk on the phone to people I don't know. So I don't want to just be able to interrupt my day because you thought you wanted to talk to me. Yeah. So anyway, I get this phone call. Hello, this is Tiffany, and I'm with such and such and such and such, and I got your number from such and such and such and such, and he thought you might be interested in some custom clothes. Who are you? And I'm like getting irritated. And I was waiting for the plumber to call.
Yeah. You thought it was the plumber.
I thought it was the plumber because I didn't recognize the number, and it was the same area code. So I'm like, who are you? My name's Tiffany. What do you do? I sell custom clothes. Where did you get my number? From somebody named Dwight. I don't know Dwight. Like, why? You say you sell custom clothes? Yeah, I sell custom clothes. I'm actually looking for some custom clothes.
Yeah.
What do you have? Well, we're actually with the oldest custom clothier in the United States, blah, 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 Tom James, blah, blah, blah. Would you be interested in looking at some? Well, as a matter of fact, now that you brought it up, I would.
Yeah.
Right? Because, so think about this. Somebody interrupted me.
Yeah.
Made me think they were the plumber. Got my number. She didn't know me. She got my number from somebody that didn't know me. Double irritation. Why somebody who doesn't know me giving out my number? Okay. And my name. And then she calls me, but then she says the one thing that I'm already looking for.
Custom clothes.
Custom clothes. Yeah, I'm looking for some custom clothes. Then she comes and shows me the custom clothes. So, and I'd never bought custom suits before. I bought some custom shirts that weren't custom. So I'm like, okay, let me see what you got. Come show me what you got. So she shows me. Well, we have these 3 levels. Right? We have the machine sewn. We have the partially machine sewn, partially hand sewn, and we have the 100% hand sewn. Okay, so I find the material. I order one of each. So the machine sewn, they're like $4,000. I've never paid $1,000 for a suit in my life.
Yeah.
At this point, are you okay? Never. In fact, well, anyway, like I could buy 7 suits for $1,000 from
Yeah.
K&G menswear, right? Like, okay, so I'll do one at the $4,000 level. And then the ones that are half hand sewn, they're about $5,500, $6,000. I'll take one of those, and then the other one, $7,000 to $8,000 for the hand sewn. So my first set, I get one of each, right? I get these suits, and I'm like, oh my goodness, there's a difference. This is not K&G menswear.
Yeah.
This is on a level, right? So, which one do you think felt the best?
The hand sewn.
It was like wearing pajamas.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, y'all didn't see me yesterday. It was a suit I wore yesterday. I was like, this thing, $7,000 for a suit, which then that didn't even make any sense to me. But it was just, it's worth a test. This is what I mean when I say, stop looking for people to sell stuff to and make yourself more findable for people who already wanted to buy what you already wanted to sell. I was the easiest sale ever for her. I have since that time, I think I bought a total of 19 suits
Wow.
in 2 years from this woman. 19 in less than 2 years. And then she had enough nerve to show me one that's gold window pane, and the gold window panes are 22 karat gold stitching.
Oh, man.
Like, why? Why did I do that? Like, that wasn't even me until it became me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I did that for me because I feel like, what? I'm worth it. Now, I think the most expensive suit I ever bought is like $14,000. Is it possible that a $14,000 suit is worth 100 times more than $140 suit? No. Intrinsically, no, not possible. So why is it worth it to me? I don't know, because it was made for me. It probably even has my name on it. Custom made from Iron Golden. Okay, well, it has my logo on it. But and then they come with coat hangers with my name on it. Now, how much is that really worth? Is it worth that much more? No, but it feels like it is.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's like an experience that was created for you.
Wow.
The more you can turn your offer into an experience that feels like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest thing ever, the more likely people are to be glad they bought it after they bought it.
So let me ask you this. That $14,000 suit, do you think that suit has helped you make more money?
All of them have helped me make more money.
Okay. Why is that?
Because human beings are singularly motivated. They do things for one reason only, and that's because they feel like it.
Feel like it.
Yeah.
Because they feel like it. And the $14,000 suit makes me feel like I'm worth it. Worth what? Whatever.
So we talked about the conscious and subconscious mind today as well, and how the subconscious is the automatic mind, and then the conscious mind is the manual mind.
Right.
Do you think, the purchasing of that suit affected your automatic mind, or programmed it?
The reality was, I don't ever price shop, and what I mean by that is, I don't ever determine whether or not I desire to buy something based on the price. So I didn't know it was $14,000 before I bought it.
Yeah.
I just found out it was $14,000 after I bought it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That probably sounds weird.
Yeah.
I promise you, and as weird as it sounds, if you decide that you're worth it regardless of what it is, that'll turn you into a different person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever read menus from right to left.
Right
to left. Chicken. Chicken.
Yeah.
Right? I don't have to read menus like that.
Right.
So when I'm buying a suit, I don't
Same.
ever ask how much it's like. Well, how much is this one? Well, it's kind of like when I take my Rolls Royce to the shop. Right?
Yeah.
I don't ask them how much it's going to be to fix it. I knew it was a Rolls Royce when I drove it in there.
That's right.
Right. So it's kind of like that. I know the arena that I'm in is that arena. And if I ask questions like how much does it cost, all I'm really doing is proving to myself and others that I'm in the wrong arena.
Oh, wow.
Was that one of those jolt things that
really
you just
is.
talked about?
That's wild. I've never heard you talk about this in this way.
Oh, give you a perfect example. So
Okay.
I'm getting my Mercedes GT63S. It's getting ready to turn into an Aston Martin.
What?
Yeah, I'm just sick of it.
Oh, you're
gonna trade it.
exchanging.
Yeah, I'm going to trade it in because
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
tired of it.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's spent more time in the shop in the last month and a half than it's spent in my garage.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened was this warning light came on 2 months ago. This warning light comes on. I'm like, Okay, I take it into the shop. Oh, we don't know what's wrong with it. We don't know what's wrong with it. Well, we sent the message that it's getting to the engineers in Germany. They don't know what's wrong with it. They don't know what's wrong with it. This is a multi-six-figure car. Why do y'all not know what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
I get that I don't know what's wrong with it, but you're supposed to know.
That's right.
And if they don't know in Germany and they made it over there, now we got a problem, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, and I love the car. It's the most fun car that I've ever owned.
Yeah.
It like clears its throat between gear changes. It's like boom, ba, 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 boom, ba, 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 ba. Right. It's that car. So it's a dude thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like that. It's the most fun car I've ever driven, but it was in the shop for a month. I'm driving this little loaner car.
Yeah.
It's like, right. So, okay, cool. Plus, I got 2 loaner cars. Both of them smell like smoke, and I had to take them back. I'm like,
No.
this is not the experience. None of this experience is fun for me.
Yeah.
Right? I paid this money for this car. This car's in the shop for a month. I had to come get a loaner, and then I bring it back home. It smells like smoke. I had to bring it back. The next one smells like smoke. Okay, send me a car that doesn't smell like smoke. I'm not coming back to your dealership again.
Yeah.
Right? Finally, they sent me one without smoke. Okay, so there's that problem. Then I get it back. I'm driving it. All of a sudden, my brakes are making noise, but the brake light never came on. But it's going every time I come to, like, dude, my brakes are making noise.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, y'all just, and then he texts me, Mr. Gold, it's going to be really, really expensive to fix your brakes. Or you want to
Yeah,
sure you
I
want
hate that.
Like, really, really expensive.
You're
What am I going to do?
projecting.
What am I going to do? Like,
Yeah.
ride my bike?
Yeah.
Like, and I sound a little irritated, and it's kind of like not that big of a deal, but it's a big deal because this is not the experience I'm supposed to have with a $200,000 car.
Right.
Right. And so I'm like, well, how much is it? So he sent me this thing. I said, $1,000. Why are you sending me a message about $1,000?
Yeah.
Then I looked at it again. It wasn't $1,000 to get the brakes fixed. It was $10,000 to get the brakes
Wow.
fixed.
Oh, wow.
But what am I going to do? Ride my bike? Okay,
Yeah.
fix the stupid car.
Yeah.
So they fixed the car. Right. You think, surely, and I know I'm being a bit of a baby, but I've paid enough for this car
it represents a
to
lot,
be a
yeah.
baby
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
I go to pick up my car after it's been in the shop for 2 weeks to get the brakes fixed, after being in the shop for a month to figure out the problem, what they couldn't figure out. And then I go get it, and I get in, I'm pulling out of the, and I look, and my dashboard looks funny.
Oh, no.
I'm like, what is it? And then I look at it, and like the dashboard is coming apart from, and I'm like, so I turn back, the dashboard. Oh, it looks like the glue's separated from the dashboard.
Oh, my gosh.
Experience and status
Right.
matter.
Right. And so now
Does this make you feel like a lesser status dealing with
it's
all
like,
this?
It's like, I don't want to drive a Mercedes anymore. Not that Mercedes are bad cars. I've had a lot of great success with Mercedes, but this car in such a short period of time has given me so many bad vibes that I'm like, I'd rather drive an Aston Martin. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Right. And so now it's in the shop waiting for them to get the dash leather so they can change the dash.
Oh, wow.
And then I come home and I have a little GLE 63 Mercedes that I carry my golf clubs to the golf course in and throw my Segway on the back of and all my golf dirt. And that dash is separating. I'm like, is this really happening to me right now? Not when I'm not going to trade in because it's my truck, right? So, but still, now I got to take that one in to get it fixed. It's like,
Yeah.
right? That's not the experience you want. You want the experience of, like, this is supposed to, even
This
the bad
reflects
stuff is supposed
how
to-
I see myself.
What's that?
This experience reflects how I see myself.
Right. And I don't see myself as a person who paid this much money to have this experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So you just said, hold on, I need to back up for a second. You said when I ask how much something costs, it reminds me of the arena that I'm. What did you say?
So if I ask how much this is going to cost, all I'm doing is announcing to the world that I don't belong in this arena.
What arena?
The arena of the people who do this, whatever this is.
The custom suit arena.
Custom suit arena,
Yeah.
the Rolls Royce arena, the Mercedes. Like, if I'm asking how much it costs to repair something, how much does it cost to buy something, I'm in the wrong arena. Like, how much it costs, it's not that I don't want to know how much it costs. It's like, I already kind of know how much it costs. But you know what's really cool about my suits? Like, I wear this brace on my leg, and sometimes, like, the brace will bump into something or cut a hole in my pants. I call my tailor. She comes, picks up the pants. They put a brand new panel on it, and they bring me the suits back, and they don't charge me. Like,
Wow.
that's that's the level of customer service I desire to have. Not I paid all this money for this suit and now I can't wear it anymore because I got a hole in the pants.
That's right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Totally.
So it's like I want the experience that you matter so much to us. We will do whatever is necessary to fix the problem that we created or did not foresee not allowing you to have.
That's right. Wow.
I'm curious about a kind of a totally different
Sure.
arena of selling and experience and wanting to display value.
Sure.
So imagine that someone posts really amazing content, like short form content, maybe on Instagram. Okay, people love them, they follow them, all the good stuff. And they want to start hosting sales events. Maybe they know their value is way more than something that's short on Instagram. I want to sell a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 program. What advice do you have to the person who is going from that short form, popular, viral content, maybe it's even how-to content, to something like a sales environment?
Yeah, I would say create some long form immersion content. Write a book, start a podcast, start a YouTube show that has
Get some reps in.
Get some reps in long form content, because according to Daniel Priestley, what he said about Robin Dunbar and the Dunbar's numbers, 7, 11, 4. So people need to spend have 7 interactions, have 7 hours with you, 11 interactions on 4 different platforms before they feel like they know you, like you, and trust you.
Oh, I didn't. The 4 different platforms.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I just shared with y'all at lunch that or earlier today, that people spent 466,000 hours watching me in the last 28 days.
Wow.
There are 8,760 hours in a year.
Yeah.
That equates to 50.9 years people spent watching me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the last 28 days. Immersion creates conversion. And I have people tell me, oh, I watch your videos every day. I watch at least 3 of your videos every day. It's so weird. Like I can go to a restaurant or I can go to a hotel in a different city or go to rent a car in a different city. Like, oh, I know you. I watch your stuff on YouTube. I watch your videos every day. I watch your videos with my kids. I watch your videos with my spouse. And so I created a deep ocean of content for people to swim in. So by the time they come into my presence, they feel like they know me. They realize they like me and they believe they can trust me. So there's a whole lot less energy put into me attempting to prove to them that I'm trustworthy, because their immersion has already provided that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So if you got short form content is great for generating interest. It's not great for generating immersion.
Oh, yeah.
And immersion creates conversion.
Yeah.
Reps and long form content.
Reps and long form
And
content.
how would they know if it is the impactful type of immersive content? Because there's one thing to teach for an hour. There's another to help someone believe something and to shift their perspective.
So if people are watching it, it's interesting. If they're not, it's not. Like if they're watching it, so if they click it, the thumbnail is interesting. If they don't click it, the thumbnail and the title are not interesting on like a long form YouTube video. If they buy the book, the title and cover are interesting. If they don't buy the book, the title and cover are not. If they watch the video, the first 30 seconds is engaging, and the rest is interesting enough to keep them, and it's interesting and energized enough to keep them watching. If they don't watch the first 30 seconds, if you don't have at least 70% of the people on the first day, at least, first week, it's even better. First month, that's even better. If 70% of the people are not still watching at the 30-second mark, you are starting your video the wrong way. What do I mean the wrong way? Hi, guys. Myron here. I'm back again. Like all of that stuff, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Think about this. When you create a new long-form video, you're creating it for people who don't know you, not for people who do.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is get them locked and loaded in the first 30 seconds.
It's a totally different mindset to have.
It's a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
So when my videos start, they're like, have you ever wondered why some people, they wake up in the morning and they feel energized from the bottom of their foot to the top of their head, and other people feel, well, like when they wake up, I don't know if I'm going to be planning my funeral today. Today, I'm going to show you how to be the first person and not be the second person, right? And then you get into the video and now they're like, oh, I want to find out how I can be that first person, not that second person. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you open with an open loop, and then you build on that open loop, and then you make them a promise, and then you deliver on that promise.
So good.
Right. And like if you don't start your video that way, they're probably not going to keep on watching. Hey guys, like, subscribe, and like they don't even know what you're going to talk about yet.
Yeah, it's so true.
And if they like your video, you don't have to tell them to like it. They already like it. They will like it. If they're going to subscribe to your channel, you don't have to ask people to subscribe. Make your content so good they can't not subscribe.
Right. Right.
Wow, that's a different way of looking at it, isn't it?
So good.
So
Wow.
And we talked about something earlier that I already brought up about influence, but I can't get off of this. You know, most people want to know what to say. How do, well, Myron, then what question should I ask when I open up, right? People want to have that tangible, tactical thing.
Right.
And I really believe that so much of selling is influence. And that influence, the Latin root, it comes into meaning to flow into. To flow. It's an intangible flowing that someone can do into your life that helps you want to move and do something different, go in a different direction. So will you share some of your thoughts about influence and how you think it plays into selling?
So, yeah, I think that influence flow into, I really like that, by the way. When you think about helping somebody flow into, people only desire to flow into what they desire to flow into, right?
Yeah.
So in order for me to have influence with someone, I have to be doing something they desire to do.
Doing something they desire to do. That's huge.
That's huge. I have to be something they desire to become.
Yep.
And I have to have something they desire to have.
Yep.
If I have one of those, I'm going to have some influence. If I have two of them, I'm going to have more influence. If I have all three of those, I'm going to have the ultimate influence in that person's life. If I am being someone they desire to be and doing something they desire to do and having something they desire to have, I am going to have influence with that person. Like if I teach them something they couldn't have learned without me, right? If I give them something they couldn't have gotten without me and I make them feel a way they never felt before me, I'm going to have influence on that person. Does that make sense?
That's so good to demonstrate your being, doing, and having.
Exactly.
Is huge. That's a really good gut check for everybody to just ask yourself, am I showing because in some ways you have to put out the effort to show people
100%.
that you're being, doing, and having. And that's why content matters.
That's why content matters. That's why the clothes that there's no universe. And I know this sounds so weird. When I watch somebody, it doesn't matter if I'm watching a guitar lesson video, because you know I'm a guitarist, right? So I like playing the guitar, play my guitar every day. So if I'm watching a guitar lesson video on the Circle of Fifths and the person has on a wrinkled t-shirt, I'm like, why do you have on this wrinkled t-shirt? It doesn't even, like, he's a guitar player. What difference does it make if his t-shirt's wrinkled? Like, you're on video in front of millions of people. Why don't you care that your shirt's wrinkled?
Yeah.
This is it doesn't make sense to me, right? Something a wrinkled shirt says, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Like, how can I influence you if something in the background is saying I don't care while my words are telling you that I do? Right? I tell people you can lie with your words, but your energy always tells the truth. Right?
Yeah.
And so I just think that, like, make it all match.
Yeah. Well, you know what's interesting, Myron? I have been studying about style. And one of the things I've been learning is how over your life you evolve so much. And what most people don't realize is that if they don't change their style to evolve with them as they evolve as a person,
Oh my gosh.
they end up being perceived as someone totally different than they see themselves, which causes uncertainty and discrepancy in their communication. And so people see them and they're like, you're saying that you can help people, but your shirt is wrinkled.
Right.
But they actually are a person potentially.
Yeah.
They've evolved into that person, but their outside has not changed their inside. And there's these, I know this is not about style, but there's these three.
It is about influence.
A lot of times people will dress as a person that they desire to be, that they are most of the time, but also who they fear to be. And it's that person that it kind of like a self-sabotage situation. Is like, this is who I used to be. This is who I don't really want to be, but I don't feel my best today. So let me just dress like them, and then you become them. And wrapping the package really does matter.
Oh, it matters a lot.
So that people can understand who you are. 100%. And your first impression is made in 0.1 seconds. No word can come out of your mouth. And you make an impression. It's impossible. So your clothes 100% make an impression.
And how your clothes make you feel.
Yeah.
Influences how people feel about you, because you're always carrying a vibe, whether you notice it or not.
That's exactly
people
right.
around you notice it. Like, there is an energy hierarchy.
Yeah.
And people can tell people look at you. They can feel your vibe when you're walking. They see you walking. There's something different about that person. And they pick up on whether or not your vibe is going to add to theirs or theirs is going to add to yours.
That's right.
And if they believe that your vibe is going to add to their vibe, your energy is going to contribute to their energy, they want to be around you.
That's exactly
But
right.
if they feel like your energy is going to take something from their energy, they don't want to be around
That's
you.
exactly right. And that is insane. That, in fact, the book that I read, they said basically your wardrobe is a version of communication, and we spend so much time working on our communication, and not keeping up with your wardrobe is critical.
I think a lot of, especially young people, like y'all are really unique being as young as y'all are and being as on top of your game as you are, because so many young people, when it comes to how they appear, they're more interested in being expressive than being impactful. Right?
Ooh.
And so,
Interesting.
like I want to show people this is how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't really want to show people how I feel.
Yeah.
I want to show people that I have the ability to change your life. Like
That's
when
right.
somebody
Wow.
sees me,
Yep.
what I want them to, there's that dude can change my life.
That's right.
That's what I want them to feel.
That's exactly right.
I don't want them to feel like, oh well, he sure is cool. Like I have distressed jeans.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to wear them in front of a camera.
I cannot imagine you in distressed jeans.
I have
Byron.
distressed jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
But I'm not
is
going to wear.
wild.
I can put on my distressed jeans and my oversized, like my what's it called? Creatures of the Night T-shirt.
Yeah.
And my Yeezys, and
You got some Yeezys, Mike?
Oh yeah. Right. Like so I can be like expressive,
Yeah.
but I'd rather be impactful.
That's right.
I'd rather look
huge. Wow.
like the person people desire to become. So they aspire to go higher because I came into their presence, rather than showing them, oh yeah, I'm one of you. I'd rather show them, oh, you can be one of me.
And that shows you how intentional influence is.
Right.
It's not like you have it or you don't. It's like you actually build it
Yeah.
100%.
intentionally. And that has been a really big difference in people who I've watched grow in their influence is I watch them and say, you're doing that on purpose. You're filming yourself tying your shoes on purpose because you're a person who ties on their shoes before your kids get up so you can have energy for when they get up, right? And you just know when you are in the game, you see them working the
Right.
game.
Game recognizes
So-
game.
That's right.
Exactly. So that
Nothing's an accident.
yeah, it's just really cool. And I think clothes is powerful. I mean, I've had to get rid of so many clothes. And it sounds
Me
so
too.
superficial because I look at it and like, that's $1.2 million clothes.
Yeah.
I wore those when I was struggling to do anything. And people have actually told us, I miss how you used to dress. Like, well, first of all, I don't. And second of all, you didn't buy from me when I did. So
right.
goodbye,
Right.
you know.
That's exactly right.
That's funny.
Because it's a reflection of how they see themselves,
Right.
too.
They're more comfortable seeing themselves and how I used to be and how she used to be than where we're going.
Right.
Because we want to show people where they can go as well.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I didn't think this is where that was going to go, but
Yeah.
that is why the whole topic of one to many matters. It's because how can you transmit a message
Right.
to a lot of people without saying
so,
as much?
So one of the things, people think they're being more influential when they use profanity.
yeah.
Right.
You're actually being less influential. And
Right.
you're actually being less clear. Like nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes clear. Do you know when you use profanity or any euphemism whatsoever, you're actually diluting your message because you're not using an actual adjective
Right.
that
That's
describes the thing that you're talking about. And when you do that, it's a cause for pause.
Yeah.
But if you can say it clearly, like people say, oh, it's a pattern. No, it's your pattern, bro. You do it all the time. That's
right.
Right?
It's true.
But like you said, I say things and people jolt, but I don't use profanity.
Right.
Why? Because I don't have to.
Right.
Because truth is way more of a pattern interrupt
Yeah.
than
Man.
going along to get along and sounding like everybody else.
Dude, reality. That's so good.
That's so good.
That's so cool.
Why do you say, remind me why you say desire instead of want?
Yeah.
I
I
can't
love
remember.
this.
Well, because want is a double entendre.
Describe that again.
So it's a word that has more than one meaning. So want can mean lack or can also mean desire. But desire only means desire. So when I was a little kid and I memorized the 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, I was so confused, literally for years. If the Lord is my shepherd, why don't I want him?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I thought, right?
Right.
Okay, but desire only has one meaning. It means I desire. It doesn't mean lack. Like there's no way to use the word desire and have it mean lack. right?
So like if a kid says, I want candy and he doesn't have candy.
Right.
He desires
I
candy.
But when you say I want it, that's like a lacking.
I don't have
have
or I
it.
desire to have it. It could mean either one.
I see.
Jeez.
I see.
But the subconscious mind doesn't know which one you mean. But when you say desire, there's only one meaning. And guess what the word desire means? Day,
Of the
or
father.
from, sire, father. So desire means of the father or from the father. By the way, since you brought that up, you want to talk about a really impactful book that's both like really helpful for sales and impactful in your life. The Many Hidden Messages in Water.
Oh, yes.
I got that book. Can I just be honest?
Do tell.
I started it and it was talking about crystals. And it kind of freaked me out.
Like mysticism type.
Yeah,
vibe.
like I might have
Missed the crystals. The crystals were actually crystal formations from flash freezing the water.
at the beginning. I might.
Yeah, so-
the concept of crystals, I just stay away from in all facets.
So
Like people say they have vibrations.
Like
everything is
Right.
Okay. Energy is a vibration.
Well, God meant for good. Satan twists into being evil. So,
No, I get that.
there's a lot of
Yeah,
evil
I get
stuff.
that.
So
yeah.
But in the beginning was the word. What are words? Words come from the vibration of your vocal cords. Everything, like everything is energy. Like that's the first law of energy conservation, right? Everything is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form, right? So everything literally is a vibration. Like when I play a guitar, do you know why a guitar string makes a sound? Because it vibrates at so many whatever's per second, so many vibrations per second. Like and the strings are different thicknesses and they're tightened at different lengths, which causes them to vibrate it. So everything is a vibration. Like like the New Age movement does not own vibrational frequency.
Right.
Yeah.
Vibration. All
feels like
truth
it.
belongs to God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Even when people attempt to eliminate the God that created the truth, the truth belongs to God.
That's so good.
So
That helped me.
So in the book, The Many Hidden Messages in Water, Dr. Emoto took some water from a bottle and put it like some drops in a petri dish in two different petri. On one of the petri dishes, he wrote negative words, on the other one he wrote positive words. He flash freezed both of them, and when the water crystallized in each one of those petri dishes, the water that had the water that crystallized in the petri dish that had positive words on it turned into these beautiful crystallized patterns, and the other one turned into these gnarly, just disjointed patterns. And the reason that's so powerful is because water is an energy, and words are an energy. Now, as far as we know, can water read?
No.
As far as we know, it can't. As far as we know, can water hear?
No.
As far as we know, it can't. As far as we know, can water think?
No.
No. But words written on the outside of a container of water change the molecular structure of the water.
Yeah.
And your brain is 90% water, and your body's 70% water. And you can hear, and you can think, and you can read, and you think negative words are not going to negatively impact your life. You are delusional.
Wow.
That's the point.
Gosh, and I think I understand the power of words, but honestly, how will we ever really understand like how powerful it is?
Right.
And people will meet like my little boy, and they'll be like, "Oh, he's so shy." It drives me crazy because I just know like that imprints on him, whether he realizes it or not.
He's not shy. He just doesn't know you yet.
Yeah,
That's what I would say. He's not shy. He just doesn't know you yet.
yeah,
That's right.
so good.
Like, let them hear you say what you believe about them.
Wow.
He's not shy. He just doesn't know you yet.
Yeah.
Right. Don't ever let somebody impart. I remember when my kids were little, because some people are not going to think this is good that I do this, but I did because, well, for a couple of reasons. One, because of something my older brother told me that I never thought about before. And two, just because I just didn't like the idea of it. So I always taught my kids even when they were little that Santa Claus is not real. There's no such thing as Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, all that junk. It's all made up.
How old were they when you told them that?
Since they first heard about it.
Okay.
Like 2, 1.
Oh, wow.
Never did the whole Santa Claus thing.
Yeah.
Ever, the Easter Bunny thing, none of that. So my son's like 4 or 5 years old. Somebody said to him, "So what's Santa Claus bringing you for Christmas?" He says, "You know Santa Claus isn't real."
That's
He's
right.
like 4.
That's right.
That's funny.
Like, tell him so.
It's funny.
Oh,
Wow.
that's so funny.
Wow. So
But my
good.
older brother told me, here's what my older brother told me that really blew my mind.
Which one?
Jeff.
Oh,
I only
Jeff's
have
your
one
only
older-
one.
I only
That's
have one older brother. He said, when they told me that Santa Claus watches everything that you do, and he brings you gifts if you do good things, and he's based on whether you're naughty or nice. When I found out Santa Claus wasn't real, because they told me the same thing about God, I thought, well, maybe God's not real either.
Wow.
I said, I'm never telling my kids that Santa Claus is real.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
It creates a whole
It's
terrain.
interesting that kids think about stuff like that.
Wow.
So I'm not going to. They won't.
I mean, it's it's like he probably didn't even put that connection together until he was older.
Right.
But the
But
subconscious
he told me
mind.
when he found out Santa Claus wasn't
Yeah.
real, it made him wonder if God was made up just like Santa Claus.
Yeah. Wow. I really want to, just a couple more things. I want to hear you talk about the subconscious mind, the conscious mind. I just want to hear you.
You love
I just
hearing me
love
geek out
it.
about that
I just
stuff.
love
So
it.
good.
I feel like this year has obviously been a huge year for us. So much growth. And
And you're just catching your stride.
yeah. And mentally.
I'd be shocked. Can I make a prediction?
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if in the next 2 years your business doesn't triple or quadruple from where it is right now,
That's
without
hard
you
to
doing more
believe.
work.
Yeah, I actually do think that it's possible. It's
Well, it's
especially
more than
with-
possible.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, outside
Yeah.
looking in, it looks likely.
Likely, yeah. I mean, with just to focus on YouTube alone could do that, you know.
That'll do things you can't even imagine.
So the growth, I told you, I was actually looking up. I was like, what is the average percentage of growth for a business? It was like 2% or something, like the average
2% per
growth.
year?
Or something. It was really small.
And you had how much of this over
And
this
so I
last
was
year?
like, wait, okay, so if we do 5 million, then it would be 418% growth.
418% growth in 1 year.
In from October
Of last
to the a little over a year.
Little
It'd
over
be
a year.
418%. And I feel like it's been
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah. And the most kind of, we talked about the cocoon and how the caterpillar goes and the I feel like my brain got destructed and my brain deconstructed and it became soup, and now it's kind of reforming. And it's been the rewiring of the subconscious brain. I know that.
100%.
And when I look back on it, I'm like, okay, that's what was happening. And it was the most challenging experience. It was the most mental. And I feel like I was like, not suffering, but just like exercising. Like my brain has just been exercising this constantly. And no one even sees it. I'm just in my own mind working my weights.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that has helped me is honestly being in rooms. Being in your rooms and just letting the room almost do, and then I leave and I'm like, wait, what did he just say? What did she just say? Like, how's
Literally
that
let
possible?
it influence you.
Let it
like
influence.
they're being, doing, and having in a way that literally osmoses
Yeah.
us to be, okay, this is worth it. This is possible. It's amazing.
So I feel like I'm trying to make sense and put words to what I've just experienced. That's why I just get so excited when I hear, because even today you were talking about willpower and you use willpower to rewire your subconscious.
Right.
I'm like, that is why it has felt so like almost tiring.
Right.
And then I feel it being easier. So anyways, I just am putting words and language around what I feel like I just went through for a 418% growth year.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to use picturesque language to describe complex concepts.
Yes.
Right. And so when I say, conscious mind, there's no picture that comes to your mind.
Yeah.
If I say subconscious mind, there's no picture.
Yeah.
So I like, okay, what could I call the conscious mind that would cause you to see something?
Yeah.
What could I call the subconscious mind that would cause you to see an
something.
image?
that's why metaphors are so good. Why
Exactly.
Am I,
That's why
Kat.
metaphor.
Like, we speak in similes for a reason. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a spiral. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of calling the conscious mind, I like to call it the manual mind because it's the mind where all the effort takes place.
Yes.
But no transformation takes place.
Wow.
That's why trying hard or you gotta try hard or trying harder doesn't work. Right. But the subconscious mind I like to call the automatic mind.
Yeah.
Why? Because all the results that all of us produce in our lives, they're all produced on a subconscious level. So our automatic mind produces our results.
Wow.
Like in this room, the temperature is set by the thermostat
Right.
at a certain temperature.
Yep.
If it gets a little bit above it and the air conditioner's on, the air
goes back
conditioner comes
down.
on, it cools it back down.
Yep.
So the automatic mind regulates what feels regular to us.
Wow.
Right? That's what, think about it.
my
I never
gosh.
thought about this before, but sometimes you're in a room with somebody and they're hot and you're cold. Why? Because their internal thermostat is set at a different place than your internal thermostat. Well, what happens when you're in a room with somebody whose financial thermostat is in a totally different place,
Yeah.
right, than your financial thermostat, and then they're very comfortable making $1 million a month, and you're like, $1 million a month, you can't make $1 million a month. Or you're making $1 million a month and they're making $500,000 a month, and they think it's hard, but you think it's easy. And it's all based on where your automatic mind is preset.
Wow.
Right? So one of the things that happened on the way here, we're on the jet, right? And so we came in on a small CJ100. And so me, Josh, my daughter, and my niece, and we're coming, and I'm sitting backwards. And I turned around to put something in the trash can, and I looked up, and the pilot had this sun reflector thing in the window, and he's looking down on his little iPad, working on aeronautic stuff. And the co-pilot's looking down. I'm like, who's looking out that window to make sure we ain't flying into nobody? No, but I already knew. Like it's so like they are so trained. If you're flying a jet, you're IFR rated, which means you're instrument flight rated, right? So and so you have your instrument flight rating. Well, in order to get your instrument flight rating, you have to fly for 40 hours under what they call the hood. So you take off and then you get under this hood that doesn't allow you to see out the windows at all.
Oh my
you
gosh.
have to fly 100% according to the instrument panels.
Wow, 40 hours.
40 hours. Not 40 hours at once, but 40 hours before
totally.
you can get your then you have to take your IFR test.
Yeah.
So right? And so they're so used to flying, not looking out the window, that you have to remind yourself as a pilot to look out the windows, not just look at the instruments. So and they also probably had it on autopilot, which is what you do when you get up to a certain, you put it on autopilot and it follows the coordinates that you programmed in.
Yeah.
So like
That's wild.
I know it's wild. It feels wild if you don't know what's going on, right? So like when I think of the subconscious mind, once you reprogram the subconscious mind to automatically, or the automatic mind to automatically produce a result, it just feels like you're normal. So what's fascinating about all of that is all of our results are produced on the automatic mind level.
Crazy.
Here's what, and when I say that, that's kind of mind blowing. But when you think of it like this, people who are struggling are not trying to struggle any more than people who are succeeding are trying to succeed.
It's wild.
They're both automatic. The person who's succeeding at a very high level in whatever that looks like, it's as automatic for them as struggling is for the person who's struggling. So the person who's succeeding is not succeeding because they're trying to succeed. They're trying to succeed because they don't remember how to fail. The person who's failing is failing because they don't know how, they have not discovered how, or they don't remember how to succeed. Right? So both of those results are being produced on the automatic mind level.
Man.
In order to produce a different kind of result, trying harder doesn't help you fix it.
Right.
The only thing that will help you fix it is using your manual mind to reprogram your automatic mind to produce a different result automatically. So I don't try to make a lot of money. I literally, like, there's no, it feels easier to make it to average $30,000+ a day, 365 days a year, than it used to feel to make $30,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like it makes any sense.
And you know what's interesting is this is why some of your comments are so jolting, because you were like dysregulating people's automatic system.
Right.
They're in
Your reality and theirs is so different that it
different that it jolts, but it might not be jolting for me anymore as much as it is for someone else. But the way you just said it is regulated. And it regulates you. Right. You start dysregulating people in your one-to-many sales messages when you start revealing your automatic mind.
Yeah, and I just said this is how my brain works.
Yeah.
Like, it would be very hard for me to figure out how not to make money.
Yeah.
Like it would require, like I would have to use my manual mind.
To
not make millions of dollars a year. I'd have to intentionally use my automatic mind to program some new automatic settings in my automatic mind to not be able to produce millions of dollars. And I know it sounds
I get it.
Well,
I get you get it because you've experienced, but I promise you, people that are hearing me right now who've never had these thoughts before, they're thinking, he's making that up.
Yeah.
I know they are, because that's what I would have been thinking.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I have a question that I think is perfect from this. So our goal in life is to create people who are sales masters. Ninjas. Okay. You talk a lot about the hardest thing people ever do, or the hardest thing people ever.
Thinking is the hardest work most people never do.
Thinking is the hardest work
most people never do.
Okay. So I heard you say something on your YouTube video that kind of
I hope I remember.
blew my mind. Okay. I will say this a different way if you need me to, but I want you to talk about what is the difference to you between thinking and knowing. Okay, thinking and knowing, and then believing and knowing. You said a comment about people, they don't, you said it to yourself out loud. You're like, oh no, they do more than they believe they know. There's this like believing thing for you, and then there's this knowing thing for you. And I really believe mastery is knowing. I can believe that sales skills are important, and then I can know how to do it because it's the automatic mind.
Yeah, I think the problem is people think that knowing about something is the same as knowing it.
Yeah.
And knowing about something is not the same as knowing it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's like knowledge
when,
versus knowing.
It's like when you listen to someone do a speech and they say, well, I could have done that, or just because you believe what they said doesn't mean you could do what they said.
Right.
Or that you could articulate what they said.
Or articulate it, or like if it's an action and you say you believe it and you're not doing it, you don't believe it, you just know about it.
Say that part again.
If you think you believe it and
Okay.
you're not doing anything about it,
Oh, yeah.
you don't really believe it.
Wow.
You just know about it.
Right.
And you think that knowing about it is the same as believing it.
Right.
Like people think that the primary purpose of learning is knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they think, well, I
know
know
it.
the words. So they know what it says, but they have no idea what it's saying. And there's a difference between what it says and what it's saying.
Right.
Like when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to
Wow.
a book, when it comes to a quote, when it comes to a poem, there's a difference in what it says and what it's saying.
Wow. That's
What it
right.
says are the words. What it's saying is what it means.
Which is like principle
And now,
and
right, exactly.
Right.
And what it means, think about it, a means to what? An end. So if it means something and when it has meaning, then it causes you to produce something
That's right.
to the end.
wow.
So if it's not causing you to do something,
Right.
you don't believe it.
You know about
I
it.
heard you know about it.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say you do the thing you love the most, but the reality is you do the thing you believe the most.
Whoa, yeah.
And wouldn't you say that knowing is even deeper than believing? Because I just feel about like skills for one. I can believe that a skill is important. I can believe that golf could connect you with great people because rich people golf. Like I can believe that, and then I just like knowing it's like how you are actually wired now. It's like, well, it's just what I do because it's who I am.
Yeah, I think that knowing and knowing about are not the same thing. Like, and I think knowing, I think a part of the problem is that, and I don't know if we're talking about learning or not, but if we are, when you think that the objective of learning is knowing, and when I say knowing, here's what I mean. I can check it off. I know what it says. 2 + 2 is 4.
Right.
I don't know what 2 means. I don't know what plus means, and I don't know what 4 means, but I know that 2 + 2 is
Yeah,
4.
right.
So I know it.
So you
But
memorize
I don't.
it.
I knowledge is the accumulation
I
of
see.
truth. Understanding is the
Okay,
assimilation.
I'm
of truth.
talking about the knowing. That's like the understanding. That's the
Right.
knowing I'm
Okay,
talking about.
okay.
So yeah,
So-
there's the knowledge knowing, then there's the understanding knowing.
And then so there's knowledge knowing, then there's understanding knowing, then there's the wisdom knowing.
Right.
The wisdom knowing is the skill to do it. You actually
yeah.
go do it.
Got
Yep.
it.
Right? And so we don't want our knowledge to just live in knowledge land forever.
Yeah.
We want it to move into understanding land, and then we want it to move into wisdom land where I'm actually doing something about it.
Yes.
And I believe that the real purpose of learning is mastery.
Yeah.
And mastery is what creates flow in your life. Why?
Agree.
Because mastery is the ability to execute effortlessly without the use of conscious resources.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, but business is so hard. Like, there are aspects of businesses that are a business that's hard. But the aspect of business that's hard is this: overcoming inertia and creating momentum. That's
right.
where a business feels hard.
That's right.
Overcoming inertia is an object at rest or remain at rest unless it's acted upon by an outside force.
right.
Momentum is an object in motion will continue in motion unless it's acted upon by an outside force. So when you have inertia, when you're overcoming inertia in business, you're getting it started. When you're getting your lead generation started, it feels hard. It's not that it's hard. It feels hard because you don't have any momentum.
Yeah.
When you're getting your core product sales started, it feels hard. When you first start introducing premium value offers, it feels hard. When you first get ready to interject continuity, it feels hard. It's not that it's hard. It feels hard to you because you're overcoming inertia in an effort to create momentum. But once you have momentum, like stopping it feels hard.
That.
Right? And so in doing it feels effortless. Business to me does not feel hard. Business to me feels literally as easy almost as floating in my pool on my back. Because it's just what I let happen. When I don't make myself float. I just don't let myself sink. I just let it happen. Which sounds so counterintuitive.
Right.
But momentum makes everything feel easy.
That's right.
Amen.
And inertia makes everything feel hard.
That's right. So good.
I know you gave the YouTube advice already of getting reps, but we talk a lot about your conversation skills and how they developed by you going 18 months without a paycheck when you were selling insurance
Oh, I was
one-to-one.
terrible. I was
We
so
haven't talked
bad.
as much about you doing presentations. So what advice do you have for someone who's overcoming inertia in their sales presentations?
One-to-many.
They're one-to-many, yeah.
First of all, do a lot of them. And don't make the objective just getting people to buy. Make the objective you becoming better as a presenter. So I was a pastor for quite a long time, either assistant pastor, youth pastor, senior pastor. I was a pastor for a long time. And me and my friend Kenny Grant, we have this saying. 2 things will make you want to preach a sermon more than anything else. One is a preacher who can't preach. And another is a preacher who can.
Wow.
Right? And so as a presenter, 2 things will make you want to do a sales presentation.
Wow.
One is somebody who's terrible at presenting.
Yeah.
And another is somebody who's great at presenting.
Wow.
Right?
It's so good.
Right? Isn't that good?
It's really good.
And so like when I listen to other people, and I've been doing this for literally for decades. If they're appealing, I'm saying, what about this person and the way they're communicating? What about them is so appealing to me? And I've always been a person to take things apart and put them back together. It's been my jam my whole life. I don't want to just know that it works. I want to know why it works. And so my friend Kenny Grant, my favorite speaker of all the people I've ever heard in all of life, he's my favorite. Okay. I listen to him preach. It's like you're watching Picasso paint. And I'm just like, how does he do that? And I remember when I first heard him preach, he preached this message called A Great House. And it was so amazing. I felt like I'm listening to the tape, but I felt like I listened to a cassette tape. I felt like I was watching a movie. And so we're standing outside this Christian school where my kids went to school one day. This was back in the 90s. I said, Kenny, how do you do that thing you do when you're preaching? I don't know, bro. It just looks like somebody's just eating a really good sandwich. You're just having so much fun. How do you do? And he said, you've heard me tell the story before or no?
I just heard it on your video.
He said, man, I don't know, man. My mind just runs that way. And I thought he didn't want to tell me.
Yeah.
No, I thought he did want to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
Then he said, yeah, man, all the people I read after, their mind runs that way, so my mind just runs that way.
Oh, wow.
What does that mean? What does that even mean? I'm like, I heard the words you just said. I have no earthly idea what he just said.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking he doesn't want to tell me. I said, okay, so who are these people that you read after? Well, Adrian Rogers, John Phillips. So you know what I did? I went and bought some Adrian Rogers books and John Phillips books, and I'm studying how they create outlines. So one of the things I noticed with Adrian Rogers and John Phillips is that their outlines were always alliterated.
Yeah.
So I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. Alliterated outlines. Okay, that's cool. Cool. So then I'm with my friend Vinny Sawyer, who was a pastor up in Brooklyn, New York, and Vinny's one of the best Bible teachers I know. And so I'm listening to Vinny, and I'm like, I'm staying at Vinny's house, and I'm preaching a revival at his church. I'm like, hey, Vinny, yeah, man, I got this sermon book, man, it's so good. Let me show it to you. And Vinny's got less ego than anybody you've ever met in your life. He's just a down-to-earth family man, father of 3 kids, and loves his wife, loves his kids, loves his church. Like, he's just a regular, good old dude, right? And so I'm like, yeah, this sermon book's so good, Vinny, check it out. And he looks at it, he's like, yeah, it's all right. And this is a John Phillips book. And John Phillips is like
The best.
one of the best of the best in creating these sermon outlines. He said, that's all right. And I know Vinny well enough to know that this is not an ego trip.
Yeah.
If Vinny says, it's all right, he has a reason.
Yeah.
So I ain't letting him get away with that. Okay. Because Kenny said, this is who I read after. Kenny's
right.
like the greatest speaker like I've ever heard. And Vinny's like one of the best Bible teachers I've ever seen. And these two guys are they're having a divergence of opinion.
Yeah.
Why? I said, okay, so why do you say that? And he had an answer for me.
Yeah.
He said, I don't like outlines like that. I said, outlines like what? One word outlines. The man, the mission, the message. I don't like that. I'm like, okay, so what would you do instead? He said, I believe that every point in your outline should be a complete thought. Okay, give me an example. And he gave me an example. I was like,
Do you remember the
That's
example?
so good. I don't remember his example, but I know how I do it now.
Like a full
For instance,
sentence, right? Like the man
a
is
full
strong.
sentence.
The
So,
message is
for
this.
instance, like in Philippians chapter 2, where it says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, thought it not robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even the death of the cross. Wherefore God also hath highly exalted him, and given him a name which is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow and every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father." I'm like, okay, cool. So wherefore God hath given him a name. So whenever there's a wherefore, there's a before. So when it says wherefore God has given it a name, it's saying for these reasons, God gave Jesus a name above every name. Okay, I want to know what those reasons are. Here's the outline. Are you ready? So the name of the message was, why a name above every name? Because Jesus was a person above all people. What does that mean? Well, let this mind be in you. Because Jesus has a position above every position.
Yeah.
What is that? He coexisted in eternity with God as God. So he had a position above every position. That's point number one. Point number two, but was made in the likes of men, became formed in fashion as a man. Okay, he was a person above all people. Even though he coexisted in eternity with God as God, he came to live on earth with man as a man. See how these are complete thoughts? But he had a purpose above all purposes. What is that? He died on the cross with sinners, for sinners, as sin. But he had power above all power. What's that? He didn't stay dead. He rose from the grave.
That's right.
And therefore, he has to have a name above every name, because he has a position above every position. He's a person above all people. He has a purpose above all purposes, and he has power above all power. So therefore, he has to have a name above every name. Do you see how all of that? All of it's cognizant. It all makes sense. It's not just one word, and then you have to fill in the blank. So now you don't have to use any of your brain power to figure out what I mean. You can use all of your brain power to digest what I'm actually
So
saying.
good.
Yeah.
So good.
So if I wouldn't have had that conversation with Kenny outside that school and with Vinny in his house while we're talking about like sermon books, I would have never came to this conclusion. Oh, when I'm presenting, I need to have alliterated outlines like John Phillips that are complete thoughts like Vinny Sawyer.
Yeah. Wow.
See how cool those unique experiences are that turned into this thing.
One conversation away.
Exactly. Isn't that so cool?
So cool.
So cool.
Wow.
And that's how I came up with the whole concept of ATFs, alliterated tricolon formulas.
Yep.
Based on those conversations that happened with me back in the 90s about preaching some sermons. Isn't that fascinating?
Man.
So good. So good. Wow. Myron, we love you.
That's a two-way street, sister.
You are, this is a year of...
Total transformation.
I know. I gotta go grab my.
Yeah, we have to show you something. Yeah. Because when a year ago, October the 9th, 2023, the way I know this date,
October what? 9th?
October 9th, 2023 is your day one of that challenge that we were on.
okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
What happened on October 10th this year? You said it's literally been a year.
Oh, yeah.
What was
October
happening?
10th.
Were we in New York?
We were in New York. Yeah, we were in New York.
We
with
were
our
flying home from
mastermind.
New York after our last mastermind.
Yep.
That we had in a penthouse overlooking beautiful city. It was beautiful weather.
With
The most
our
perfect event
girls,
that's ever happened.
Yeah, and it was just that week was so upside down, transformative, like nauseous. I think of nausea, excitement, commitment. One of the things that I personally did on the way to Tampa on October the 16th, I think it was just journaled best case scenarios. Best case scenarios on the other side of this. Because, the law of polarity, there's best case, worst case.
Best case, worst case.
And
the positive, the negative.
just
up and down.
every best case scenario that could possibly happen, just as if it had already happened. And 9 out of 10 of those best case scenarios have happened. And it's just been the craziest, most amazing year. And Kat wants to show you something that
Told this story a lot, but while I was actually in your challenge, hadn't bought yet. I did the same thing. So we ended up we were deciding on if we should buy the $350,000.
So you wrote that
this is our
This
journal
is a
entry.
page of this journal.
in October 2023.
October 12th, 2023.
Okay.
On day 4 of your challenge,
Sure.
we had, and I actually have a live coaching model down here because I was trying to overcome the fact that we had made one sale that day.
Yeah.
So we've made one sale the day before the end of cart on this Thursday, and it was so painful.
And we usually make a ton that day.
Yeah, it was so upside down, not right, and to feel that way and still be making this decision. But Yeah, I like wrote a prayer. I wrote a worst case, best case, got my mind right about how selling was going to go. My children have ripped it out and since dramatized the situation by it being torn in half. And I was like, where's that sheet? It was in their little drawing desk. So, but I will keep this forever because to Macy's point, so many of these best case scenarios, being in a bigger pond, having higher authority, more opportunities, having a healthy business model, having a team that's clear and sustainable, having it like one of my worst case scenarios was having the same result that we always got.
Which was
The 1.2 million, the same webinars and the same.
how long were you at 1.2 million?
3 years.
Oh wow.
But it wasn't just 3 years. Sounds like, okay, 3. But it was month after month, quarter after quarter. I mean, and we lived the same life for 3 years, it feels like.
Like Groundhog Day for 3 years.
Groundhog Day. Yeah. And I mean, and it was hard just even like watching the team be like, okay, I guess we're going to do that again. Like, let's muscle it up. But in U Squared, Price Pritchard talks about the fly who hits the window.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I think we were all that fly. So, and then the best case scenario was that we got a new result. And you have helped be the coach, the guide, the mentor for our new result. Yeah. I'm really thankful. And I will never lose this.
What was your prayer? Anything special?
Oh,
Yeah, I want to hear that.
I don't know if I can read it. I don't know if you say this in the challenge or in a YouTube video, but you say something like, you think this is about you, but God actually loves your kids so much that he gave them you as parents.
Right.
God loves your clients so much that he gave them you as their
coach.
And so the opening is, Lord, you love them so much that you gave them us as guides. And that was just like so upside down for me. So I said, continue to guide us in your ultimate wisdom. Give Macy and me undeniable certainty. The favor of the Lord is on me. Seen and heard by Myron, a follower of you. Lord, you have never failed me. In my health, my birth, my prayers, and Macy's health, do for me what you did for Gideon and confirm your will.
So good.
So it's just been like a really
So
big journey,
good.
and we're so thankful.
Yeah.
That's so good.
God is good
All the time.
all the time.
Wow.
And it
Y'all
has
trying to make me cry.
and it literally like has to be hard, And it's like hard to even tell our clients, like, hey, it has to be hard. Because I don't want to gaslight them into being like, it has to be hard forever, but there really is another side.
Yeah.
You know how, as we wrap it up, this is how I like to think about it. This is like a Genesis 1:1 principle, right? Genesis 1 principle. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That's his intention.
Yeah.
All of these people are starting off on a new intention. They've got this new intention for this new outcome.
Yeah.
And the earth was without form and void, and darkness upon the face of the deep. Disruption followed intention for God.
That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
That's right.
Why would I think disruption not supposed to follow my intention? Disruption followed intention for Moses,
That's right.
for Joseph,
That's right.
for David. Like,
You're not exempt.
Jesus gets baptized. The Spirit descends on him like a dove. The heavens open. The voice comes down. This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. And immediately he's led into the wilderness of the Spirit to be tempted of the devil. Disruption followed Jesus' intention.
Right.
Before he was ready to go do his ministry, he had to spend 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, fasting, being tempted from the devil. And we think it's supposed to be an easy roller coaster ride downhill.
Yeah.
Why does disruption have to follow our intention? It's what makes us strong enough to stay there when we get there.
Amen.
Congratulations for being strong enough to stay there now that you're there.
Thank you.
So good.
Wow.
That was a perfect ending.
What a day.
What a day.
What a
Have
day.
you ever had clients that cried so much?
No, it's kind of cool, actually.
We cried.
I
I've
almost
cried like every
almost
time I
cried.
think.
But y'all almost got me. They almost got me. But then, see, they'd have me on video. Then they'd be on video. They got, we got Myron crying on video. That video
Cry,
right there
Myron.
get 40 million
Oh,
views.
man, Myron, come on.
Come on, bro. Shed a tear, bro.
Do the clickbait. Come on. Myron crying?
Oh, we can Photoshop that.
Yeah, for sure.
Do it for the thumbnail.
I love this for y'all
Yeah.
so much. You have no idea.
It's been awesome. Thank you for being. This has been a really great day.
It
I
has
feel
been.
like we
$1 million day.
got some clarity a lot. Yeah.
Good.
So yeah.